All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. Got Adam Mares here. Damian and Anaya comes in for the last drop. I'm joined right now. The oof you just heard. It's one John Burr. John, how's it going, man?
The oof you just heard. I mean, it couldn't be going much better.
Woo, we had a Memphis Grizzlies game on Thursday night for the ages.
Yeah.
Chuck and I were part of a Nashville watch party. You and your household have been ill. Hopefully you guys are feeling better. You're on the mend.
I almost like
Saved
the
by
game,
Brandon Clark.
It's almost like the game has had restorative powers. I woke up for the first time since going to Memphis feeling kind of good.
Sports have that on a person's body where your brain can heal anything. When your brain's feeling good, it just decides, you know what, we're done here.
I don't know if it was the game or the Dayquil, but as a teetotaler, last night was the closest I've felt to that.
You need to call your sponsor
sensation.
for having Dayquil?
Yeah.
No, we had a watch party. I had youth soccer practice, my child's soccer practice. I had to be late. I did leave.
So you came in despondent then?
When I showed up, things were not going great. I was listening to on the radio, and the announcers were like, "The Grizzlies need to know this game started at 6:30." So they're on 12-0. I show up, and like Chuck's there. Things are going poorly. Eventually, things rally. Chuck takes off, and then the Grizzlies take off. And what was amazing from this watch party, I mean, I thought the watch party had a certain number of people. I don't know if the watch party grew.
It's like a virus. It's a virus.
Yeah, like I don't know if people there who just weren't wearing Grizzlies gear were actually there for the Grizzlies. But by the end, just everyone in the bar was doing the whoop that trick.
I think it was probably the latter, because like my text messages just started getting from further and further outside my like social circle, you know, like at first it's people that it's like, I talked to this guy on the regular. By the end of the night, like people that I haven't heard from in 7 years are texting me. It's
I feel like also maybe some people at this watch party had Grizzlies gear under their clothes and they revealed it at the end. And it was
that's amazing.
Like I had no idea you were here.
Sleeper agents.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. The game itself was ridiculous. It gave us a few great, I guess, what do you call them? Are they just memes now? Is anytime anything happens, is it a meme?
I'm afraid
Karl
so.
Anthony Towns sitting, clutching his knees to his chest. Just that image. It's like, oh man, like pull yourself together. Does he not have a veteran to tell him to stop doing that?
The central narrative of the text with my friends became Karl Anthony Towns' mental well-being.
We've already seen the tantrums in previous years where like Jeff Teague doesn't pass him the ball.
Yeah.
This one was the Grizzlies they were double teaming him a lot.
Yes.
They were trying to get the ball out of his hands, but the Timberwolves were more than happy not to throw it back to him. Pat Beverly took more shots in the final 5 minutes than Karl Anthony Towns took in the entire game. By the way, if you want to have fun, go watch all 5 of Patrick Beverly's final 5 field goal attempts in the last 5 minutes. They're pretty goofy and they are hilarious. I want to know, John, I talked about it on Grits and Grinds already today. I had a certain calm and peace and confidence that came over me. I want to know at what point did you think the Grizzlies were winning?
So first comeback, I knew what's going to happen. Because that's really what's easy to forget is they came back twice.
Yeah.
Like the first comeback, I knew that was going to happen. I'll admit when they got, backhanded again, slapped down again to being down 20 plus points.
Yeah. 25.
Like that's when I was like, okay, well, at least they showed some life. And I don't feel like we're just about to get blown out of this series, because that first comeback, when they get down like that, you're like, what is causing all this? Like, is this like the Wolves just being really hot? Like, what's funny is Karl Anthony Towns starts the game offensively and defensively very locked in. It just doesn't last very long. He gets thrown off his game, and then that was that. And then, I was like, are they sad that Steve-O's bench? Like, maybe the fans, maybe we all should have shut up. Like,
man, if the Grizzlies lose this one by 25 in a game Steve Downs doesn't play, then I don't know what to do. if you're the Grizzlies.
Because I know you're probably on the same vibe that I am. I really like Steven Adams.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like, as an innings eater, regular season guy, I'm all about it. Like, yeah, let's play Steve-O. He's an awesome offensive player. But then there are moments where you're just like, shoot, we can't play Steven, can we?
Yeah. I mean, I was 100% in favor of this, playing Kyle at the 4, we knew Brandon and Jaren, that 4-5 is like the Grizzlies' best option. And it's just basically now limited by, can Jaren stop committing dumber fouls?
Insane fouls.
And then
speaking of memes, is like Karl-Anthony Towns and Jaren Jackson Jr. watching them commit insane fouls. I guess that is the Spider-Man meme, huh?
It really, yeah. I mean, can we? I would love to have a thing. We need to get, I don't know who has the clout to do it. It has to probably be ESPN or Zach Lowe. Have like a film session where Karl-Anthony Towns and Jaren Jackson Jr. together just watch each other's fouls. Like, hey, at this point, you guys are wrestling away from the ball for no reason. One of you is going to pick up your 4th foul here. Why? Yeah, explain what you guys were both thinking at this moment.
I kind of view Cat through a prism of Jaren Jackson Jr. also, because I've listened to a lot of Jaren Jackson Jr., for lack of a better word, content or interviews or something. Yeah. And he seems like profoundly and like super intelligent.
Yeah.
And then Cat also seems pretty intelligent too. And then they both do this really stupid stuff on the court. And I hear like other podcasters, like, what's his name? I think there's a guy Bill Simmons has called Big Waz, something like that. And he just like, and I guess I admire his hoots, but he's just like, Cat is a stupid, low IQ basketball player. And I'm like, geez, good Lord. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far, but it makes me think, like, being that large and that skilled, it must be kind of hard not to just clobber people all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that'd be the case, but these fouls are so weird. But yes, obviously, once the Grizzlies fell back down by 25, all right, we've lost. But was there a point when this 21-0 run happens? Which, by the way, at the watch party, it was euphoric.
Yes,
but I didn't notice. It didn't occur to me that, like, hey, Chris Finch has some options at his arsenal,
like a timeout,
like calling a timeout. And so I come back home and I watch it and I'm like, oh, this is really noticeable that there's no timeout being called. Like, what's going on? It reminded me of the famous Brandon Jennings game, his rookie season, where he scores 55 points. That's all everyone remembers. It's one of the highest scoring games ever by a rookie. If you've ever watched that game, if it ever comes on NBA TV and like the greatest games of all time, Don Nelson, coaching the Warriors, who the Bucks are up against. This is not a very good Warriors team. He could care less that his team is getting blown apart. He doesn't call a timeout at any moment. Jennings gets all the points in like the first half. And it's like, at any point, it's like any normal coach would have called a timeout and stopped this, but he does not.
That's regular season, though. There might be a lesson there.
Yeah. So regular season, but it was really weird. But I said on Grizzly Grinds, I felt this way at the watch party. When the Grizzlies got within 6, I was like, we're winning this game. When the Grizzlies tied it, I told some buddies, it's like, we're winning by 10. Like, this is going to be a 10-point win. Because I knew the same feeling from the Clippers game 10 years ago. I was like,
on the opposite side.
Yeah, the opposite side. This team's not going to score again. Like, the Timberwolves are not going to score this quarter.
I did feel like the Timberwolves, when it got within single digits, were doomed. And then when, you told me a dog pile happened at the watch party. I assume it happens when Dylan Brooks, who has not hit a 3 the entire game, daggers them.
So it wasn't a literal dog pile.
Oh, okay.
I might have exaggerated, but on the Dylan dagger, it's just pandemonium. It's a pandemonium in a packed restaurant in Nashville of people just running around, screaming, high-fiving.
And it had to be Dylan.
Yeah,
it had to be Dylan because, it was one of those can't buy a bucket games. Like, even his, put the ball under one arm, Eddie George, 3 yards in a cloud of dust plays weren't working. He had to hit one, and it was at the perfect moment, because it's weird. We had thought of Dylan as the Timberwolves killer for so long. And I ended up after some hazing on my own podcast, looking at Dylan Brooks's numbers the last 5 games against the Timberwolves, and they were really bad.
His regular season.
I didn't know that the Timberwolves magic had gone away. So I'd like to think that this dagger brings him back.
Hopefully it does. Because actually, his Timberwolves killing days are a couple years ago now.
Yeah, they really are.
Well, anyway, if you need to catch the Grizzlies Game 5 in person, if you're anywhere near Memphis, experience every towel waving moment of Memphis hoops history with your 2022 playoff tickets for round 1, Game 5, presented by the Tennessee Lottery. These tickets are on sale now, or lock in the best seats when you purchase 2022-23 season tickets. To get your Game 5 playoff tickets now, visit grizzlies.com or call 1-800-4-NBA-TIX. The Grizzlies 2022 playoffs are presented by Orion and your Mid-South Ford dealers. Well, John, next time there's a watch party, I hope you're there. We missed you. It was incredible. Everyone there. No one left.
That's amazing.
Chuck. Chuck. Chuck had to go to class.
Yeah.
But I think it's because we didn't do the prizes of the third quarter. So like we made it through the
Oh, that was a great strategy.
Yeah, we made it through the nadir, giving away all the prizes. And then people were like, well, I was going to leave, but it's only an 18-point game. Like, I was going to leave. Now it's a 13-point game.
I mean, I had friends who left, quote unquote, who weren't at a watch party. They just turned the television off,
Oh, that's the worst.
I had a friend of the show, Eric Wilson, like kept leaving to do things. And I'd call him and be like, hey, you're not going to believe this, but I think we're going to win. And then I don't even think he believed me the second time I did it. Yeah. It's like, okay, man, I fell for it once.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
where is that on the Grizz pantheon of great wins? It's got to be top 5.
Got to be near the top. I would say still Mike Conley mask game. Game 3 against the Warriors to go up 2-1. That's still the peak. That's the pinnacle for me.
I feel like this just wasn't late enough in the playoffs.
Probably the Game 6 to win the first ever playoff series, where Zach Randolph scores a lot of points down the stretch. To put away
is it the Grizz game of the year? Does it beat the all reserve Suns victory for you?
You know what? This one had so much awfulness. I don't know how to rank it.
Right. Because it really was a heaven and hell game. And
also, like, it makes me worried for the Grizzlies going forward. Like, there's that part of it where it's like,
there's a lot of small, we're not going to complain after that, but there's a lot of small things to worry about if you're a Grizzlies fan.
Yeah. If you need more coverage of that game, go to Grits and Grinds.
Special 5.5 hour episode today.
It was just 8 hours free flow. 8 hours. So I have a very packed Friday schedule. It was a crisp 30 minutes. The best 30 minutes to spend. Anyway, check that out, and also all the other podcast content at grindcitymedia.com. Well, anyway, John, I'll see you on the next full Fast Break episode this weekend. Talk to you soon.
Whoop that trick. See you, man.
Thanks, man. Your shelves look pretty bare behind you.
Are they?
I mean, it feels bare to me. I don't know. I need more flair. I don't know. Maybe it's nice.
This is one of those, like,
cleaner.
I got to do a temporary thing and then I'll fix it later. And then it was like, it's good enough.
Looks like a dorm room, Adam, in unfurnished.
It is.
I mean, like, I just have garbage, and I feel like the stack of garbage. But again, it's just probably personality. There's probably a lot of people who are like,
let me see if
Keith, yours looks insane.
Look at the worst part is this room, like, there's just nothing in it.
No,
I
can tell that. I could tell looking at the wall that this is your table's a empty great TV box.
So
here we go. I'm joined right now by Adam Mares. Adam, how are you, man?
Oh, you know how I am. I'm down bad. I'm miserable. I'm depressed. I'm sad. I'm big sad. I'm all of those things.
Your Nuggets going out sad.
Nuggets going out sad.
3-0. I was told by the NBA talking head community and overall basketball intelligentsia groupthink that Warriors Nuggets was going to be a good series.
Nobody said that. Did they really say this?
I saw that. I saw a lot of Warriors in 6. I saw Warriors in 6, Warriors in 7. I was tempted. I was tricked into. I thought this series would go a long time. It's been an embarrassment.
I'll tell you what. I had Warriors in 5, so this was
okay.
And I actually took a lot of heat from, like, Nuggets fans, like, "Hey, you don't believe in this team or this." I'm like, guys, that team is really good. If you look at the 40 games that Draymond and Curry played together. They dominate. They didn't just win, they dominated.
Yeah.
I think this team might be a bit of a sleeping giant. And on top of that, they just match up with Denver in a way that Denver, I don't think, is going to be able to guard them. Guess what? Fast forward. It's exactly what happened. And just to tell you, like, this is why I don't know how people could make that prediction. What was Denver's big move last night in game 3? Facu Campazzo. Denver got to a place in 3 games where they were like, maybe Facu will switch this series for us.
Well, it was a competitive game. Game 3 was very, very close. You guys could have won. We need a name. The NBA needs a name for that, for the game 3 at home.
Yeah.
When you're down 0-2.
Yeah.
And it goes down and you're playing well.
Yeah.
Because the Nuggets easily could have won. And you're essentially facing, are we going to have a series or is it over? It's like, it's just like it's either the off ramp to death and destruction, or, hey, let's keep playing for a while. And you guys went down, unfortunately, went out sad. The Raptors, Joel Embiid put a
same story
in them, exact same story. That one, Adam, at least that series, everyone said it was going to be amazing. Lots of people were picking the Raptors. And it's been just abysmal. But again, it's hard to name things. It needs something. I remember one back in the day, 15 years ago, when the Grizzlies had never won a playoff game in their lives. And they were down 0-2 to the Mavericks and Dirk Nowitzki. And it was like, we had a home game. We're going to win. We're going to win. We were winning. And then Dirk hits a game-winning 3. And it's like, all right, we lost it. It could have been a fun series, but now it's 0-3 and we're all going home sad.
It really is funny, man, because our temperature here over at DNVR was, you get this one. It wasn't like you're back in the series and you get this as like, can they just say face? Can you just say face once? It wasn't even you put a little doubt, make them make an adjustment. It just was too hard, especially in the week leading up to it or in the days leading up to it. You knew that Facu was the big, Michael Malone kept saying, we have a spark plug. We're going to play Facu. And you're like, oh, all right.
My favorite Facu related thing is after the Grizzlies and Nuggets played a game, I believe it was last year, and someone after the post game asked John Morant, they're like, Campazzo was really giving you a hard time. What'd you think about it? And Morant picks up the stat sheet and looks at the stat sheet. He's like, I had 37 points. What are you talking about? It's like, I don't know. Yeah, Facu, that's tough. On the other side, the Warriors, this seems unfair. Jordan Poole, what in the world? The man has more points in his first 3 playoff games than Kevin Durant, than Devin Booker, than Trae Young, Luka Doncic. He's shooting 67% from the field. Still, I was very low on the Warriors this whole year. I was wrong about them in the preseason, but I went back and actually listened to my preseason prediction show. Officially, what I said was, I don't see how the Warriors are good unless Jordan Poole gets awesome. Well, turns out he's awesome.
Yeah. It's a tough break. I mean, he's really good, man. I mean, Jordan Poole's the one piece of this equation that you're like, is that the Nuggets or is that Jordan Poole has just made this big leap? He's of course done this in the regular season, just the postseason. He's been the second best player in the series behind Draymond Green right now, which is kind of crazy to say, or for the Warriors at least. And he's been that good. I mean, what is he shooting? 80% from the field or something like that in the series? 75%?
Yeah, I think it's 67. It's a solid 67 after 3 games. Does that feel low to you?
Well, I have to imagine the weighted effective field goal percentage.
Yeah, the true shooting is probably close to 1. What do we say?
Yeah, because a lot of these shots are pretty ridiculous 3-point shots. But look, the Warriors in the Curry era have been able to go to a lineup. We've called this the death lineup and different iterations of it, where you're spread so thin that the game becomes easy and then they move the ball so well. Jordan Poole has fit so fantastic into that the question is, can that ball movement be stopped with a team that can switch everything or, something else? Because Denver can't do that. But Jordan Poole provides enough spacing that it's every bit as good as those pre-KD versions of this team in terms of just they have so many guys that you have to run off of the line.
So putting on your non-Denver head, putting on your national NBA analyst hat, at what point do the Warriors change their starting lineup and put Steph in the starting lineup. Can they keep doing this? Sixth man Steph? Just lighting teams up, just torturing.
Can you imagine?
How do you? It's going to be hard. All right, let's say maybe it's a gentleman's sweep. Maybe the Nuggets win game 4, but we're all thinking it's probably going to be a 4-gamer. If the Warriors sweep this, are they going to go into the next series being like, all right, Steph's back, Jordan to the bench? It seems like you got a nice formula, you got a nice rhythm.
Well, here's the thing: is their best lineup is going to be Draymond at center with Andrew Wiggins. Do you save that for later on in the game, the way they have traditionally with a death lineup where it's not your starter, but it is your finisher? Do you, or if you don't do that, that means you have to ask one of Poole or Wiggins to go to the bench. You have to ask one of those guys. So for me, and Steph Curry actually addressed this, I think, like I was very impressed with Steph Curry's media availability this week because you could almost tell planting the seed for, hey man, hopefully these guys see if I'm willing to come off the bench for an entire series, that means they shouldn't be hesitant to do the same. So I almost feel like he could start now. He could start now, but he's just kind of like, hey, you guys remember when I came off the bench?
This is like me when I'm teaching, when I'm with my kids and I say stuff like, do you see how I'm now sharing?
Exactly.
Dessert. Exactly. Do you see how I'm cutting off a piece of cake for everyone and everyone's sharing and having a good time?
The kids are looking at you real anxiously. Like,
and then in the future, they're like, hey, kid, can I have a piece of your cake? And they're like, no, fine.
Kids
I like that theory that maybe Steph is saying, listen, I don't really want to be a 6-man. You guys need to get back in line. The Warriors look like an absolute juggernaut. On the other hand, Nuggets sad. Also sad, I feel like the Jazz have a stench of death.
Oh, they're sadder than Denver. They really are.
They're not 2-1, and I think they're in a worse spot. Like what's going on? They just really don't like each other? Is Quinn Snyder just really like, I'm done here?
I think people underestimate how important that is. I don't think you have to love each other like we're the best friends anybody's ever said. I don't think you have to be that, but you can't hate each other. You just can't. Like we saw this, the 2004 Lakers were a great, they had Kobe and Shaq, really like kind of the overlapping primes of both of those guys hated each other. Didn't work out in the end. I think that this Jazz team is not the 2004 Lakers. They don't have a Kobe or a Shaq, but they're the team that's really going out sad. And this is the big thing about the NBA in general. And this is the hard thing for markets like Denver and Utah is it's hard to admit when it's over. And you almost always end up finding out it's over 1 year too late. And that's what I think has happened with this Jazz team. It was over last year. They just weren't ready to fully know it. And now when you're losing to Jalen Brunson and Maxi Kleber on your own home court, it's like, yeah, we probably were over.
I can't think of another instance trying to determine when a situation is over that was like this one, where it seems to all be personality based, not talent based. I feel like normally it's something like, it's like, all right, hey, you guys lost in this first round. What'd you expect? Like, you're going to lose in the first round every year. This one, I look at the talent and it was like this team talent wise seems like they have they have a puncher's chance, at least like a 5th, 6th best team in the NBA, but maybe it was just the personalities. And cause like Gobert's relatively young and obviously Mitchell's super young.
Yeah. I think what it is it is your right personalities. There's no question about that. Also the pandemic, I know this is the weirdest thing, but this is a thing with the Nuggets. They were, they've been good for every year of this very shortened 3-year run where there's been very few off seasons. Utah's kind of been in the same in that, how do you parse through? Yeah, we went out 3-1, we blew up a 3-1 lead, but that was inside this bubble and like everything was kind of weird. And then last year there's just rational reasons for you to look at it and say, let's see what it looks like in a normal year. And this being the first normal-ish year that does that. But to me, the personality versus like, is it a good team aspect of it? Is the team designed to embarrass or frustrate your best players? And this is a roster that, in my opinion, is designed to frustrate Rudy Gobert. Like, poor Rudy Gobert is a good player, and those guys put him in the worst position nonstop. And what's the story last night? They bench him for the final 6 minutes. I mean,
it's not Haley. I am deriving just incredible amusement about these shot totals. Donovan Mitchell has taken 80 field goal attempts.
Wow.
And Rudy Gobert's taken 12 in 3 games to have 68 more field goal attempts than one of your teammates, who, by the way, is the better teammate probably as far as NBA basketball.
I agree with you.
I mean, game one was 29-1.
Right.
Which is one of the great stat lines. I don't know how to look up that. Like, two best players with a 28 field goal attempt differential between them. Yeah, I mean, I honestly wonder, like, what is this Jazz team doing? I also enjoy tying it back to the arrival of Danny Ainge for some reason. I don't know why that gives me pleasure, but like they signed Danny, they hired Danny Ainge, and everything is kind of falling apart. They announced on Friday that their jerseys next year are going to be these weird yellow jerseys that have art on them. They're just yellow.
Really? Oh man, this is going to be new era for the Utah Jazz. I'll tell you what the funny thing about it, because you almost stumbled over the lead there in saying that you think Gobert is the better of the two players. There's not very many great defensive players in the NBA, and there's not very many great centers. Rudy Gobert is both of those things. Does he have his flaws? Of course. Most outside of your top 5 players, like the flaws of the next group of good players is pretty loud. And then when you get down to whatever Gobert is, the 20th, 25th best player, then the flaws become even louder and louder. But Donovan Mitchell, where does he rank amongst best guards in the NBA? He's very good, but is he top 10?
This series is kind of breaking my mind because I thought he was better than this, but like now this series is one that I've mainly seen it on condensed version. Like I'm watching all possessions recap as opposed to seeing these games live. But and then I'm also seeing just like the social media clippages of him not playing defense,
getting absolutely
and you're like, what is going on? This guy was supposed to be good at defense.
He's the mark. He's the guy that they're like, the game plan is, hey, we got to attack Donovan Mitchell. So you take away a defense and say, okay, he's a bad defensive player, below average, and then you just go to offense. This league is chock full of good offensive guards. Like, he's good. He's dynamic. He does a lot of things. But if he doesn't, for whatever personality or fit or whatever it is, fit with your other best offense, player, your pick and roll partner, if that doesn't fit, then what are you really? And that's why I look at that and I go, Utah's going to trade Rudy Gobert. I could just see it. I can feel it. Hopefully not to the Dallas Mavericks, but they're going to trade him and build around Donovan Mitchell for another season and a half before they realize they made a mistake.
Donovan Mitchell is the 4th highest scoring playoff performer per game all time. 4th in all time playoff points per game. Just fun stat.
And haven't even made it out of the first during that era. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I guess if you throw out the bubble stats, maybe it's a little bit different. But he's obviously a phenomenal scorer. I mean,
he's a good player. I'm not saying
he's good. It's just weird. Like, how much of the chemistry issues do you place at his feet, or is there even more stuff going on? I know the Jazz haven't gotten, like, Mike Conley hasn't really given them what they wanted in this specific postseason, but it's kind of a tough look.
Is that sad for you, by the way? When you see, like, Mike Conley's a Grizzly.
If the Grizzlies advance further in the postseason than Mike Conley did after he got traded to a contender, and like we're using the benefits, the spoils of what we traded him for, it doesn't. I feel bad for him. Is he going to come take over Tyus Jones's role next year? I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
Why not? Why not? Come on back.
What's Zach Randolph up to these days? He might be available.
Yeah, I know, and also you look at the, I also think about Jonas Valanciunas, being on the Pelicans, do I feel bad about that? Like, he made the playoffs. That's good for him, but like, we're really good now. He's here. I see Grayson Allen gets traded to the Bucks, gets traded to a title favorite in the offseason. And like, now the Bucks are kind of sad. Like, I
can't believe you count Grayson Allen as like one of your
No, I'm just thinking my mind
list was dropping off fast here.
My mind went to players who were on the Grizzlies in the last few years when things weren't good. Yeah. We traded you to good teams, most of you, and now we're better than you are. That was an accident. We didn't mean for it to happen so fast.
You know what though? The grit and grind Grizzlies were really cool. They were really tough. I loved them. Whatever this Memphis team is, do they have a name yet? They are so much cooler. This is the coolest freaking team. I can't believe how cool. I know it's hard to quantify. There's not good analytics for that. Yeah. They are the coolest freaking team. Just tough. I love that they talk trash before the games. Like, I just love that squad.
They're very, very fun. They were branded Grizz Next Gen, but that was a definite marketing and in-house marketing. It wasn't an organic thing that arose. That there's no official name for them. I'll give you, if we want to quantify it, things that are cool. If you just want to actually like try to put it down statistically, here's the things I like about basketball that I think are cool. They lead the NBA in steals and blocks. Steals and blocks are both cool.
That is very cool.
They're one of the best fast breaking teams.
Yeah.
They throw a lot of alley-oops. We can track those. Alley-oops are cool.
Yeah.
They blow teams out a lot. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, winning by blowouts a lot is cool. They are last in the NBA in drawing charges.
That's super cool. Oh my God. Cool. Are they really? What? They don't even bother.
They're like,
no, I would be like, we should give an award like we do the 6th man of the year, this or that. We should award the team with the fewest charges taken.
Yeah. Like the Heat set a record of the number of charges drawn this year with Kyle Lowry leading the way. Ja Morant, he picked up his 2nd drawn charge of the year in game 2. It was a big moment. I believe it was a Karl Anthony Towns 5th foul. So like maybe drawing one every now and again is cool.
Yes, of course.
But like, no, they don't draw charges. They just get up and down, and they talk a lot of trash. And also they clown on their opponent immediately after the game. Yeah. There was, by the way, the TNT, you probably didn't see this. I'm sure you're watching Nuggets. You're at the Nuggets game. The TNT had Karl Anthony Towns mic'd up.
Oh, I saw this. Are you kidding? I got home and this made the rounds.
Well, yeah. So there's the one thing where he's telling Anthony Edwards to stop driving towards the basket.
Yeah.
Because the Grizzlies are a shot blocking team, which is just like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, Anthony Edwards is incredible driving to the basket. Why would you tell him not to attack? That was amazing. This horrible advice from your supposed all NBA. What is he? 7th year? Like, this supposed to be a leader. He doesn't understand basketball, I guess. And then him being like all that, oh, we're in Minnesota now. And then Ja Morant clowning him or trolling him on Twitter, which is quote tweeting it, letting him know that we're in Minnesota now.
It was also, but you know, what's funny about Karl Anthony Towns is so aggressively not cool. Like he's the opposite of the Memphis. And like, there's some cool over, like Anthony Edwards is cool. There's some cool over there. On that
Anthony Edwards is so cool.
But Karl Anthony Towns and that quote, like even if they would have won the game and that went viral, you would have been like, oh my God, this is the lamest sounding trash talk I've ever heard in my life.
His foul reactions ruined me. Like I can't handle them. Yeah. Like I didn't even like the famous Tim Duncan ones didn't bug me.
Yeah.
He was always incredulous.
They're subtle, at least, like just the looking or whatever. It was just
the big eyes, and you're like, it's almost like it's funny. Is he doing a pantomime? Why is Tim Duncan being so funny with his face? This is like, it feels uncontrollable. It feels tangible. You know who's
it's him and it's Gobert. They both do like big stomps and like big like overly. They don't ever look like 7-footers in a way that sticks out until they're complaining, and then you're just like, oh my God, there's legs and everything going everywhere. It's kind of.
I don't know why we want our basketball players to act in a way that we feel is cool, but I do want that.
I know,
I feel like so like Jaren Jackson Jr. messes around with us a little bit, where he has minor tantrums, or he will commit a horrendously dumb foul and then like throw his arms around, and he looks like, I don't know, Woody from Toy Story with the limbs going everywhere. And it's just like, dude, you committed an obvious foul. Stop throwing a little tantrum about it. But I don't know if that's right. Like, it's just, why do the optics of how my players behaved? Why do I care? And why does it really rub me wrong when Karl Anthony Towns screams about a foul? Like, I want to save how cool Anthony Edwards is, and I don't know how. Like,
this is the Michael Porter Jr. Color area or whatever it is. Like I just can't tell. We have to root for this guy, but we know objectively he's not like. Once the game's over, you kind of want like nothing more. You're like, all right, I'm done with my MPJ here.
I gotcha. Let's talk about the Celtics Nets. It's one of probably the best first round series. They've both come down sort of to the wire. They were close games. Second one got out of hand for the Nets. Is to your eye, is something wrong with Kevin Durant? Probably people are talking like he's not. Is he kind of shook that Jason Tatum's playing so well and he's not used to having a defender that tall, that long, that rangy on him? Is something slightly off? Is Steve Nash is he fed up with his team and he's like, oh, you guys want to play one-on-one all the time? Fine. Like, go and do it. Like, see if I call a play.
Look, Boston's just incredible defensively. The funny thing about the people, I'm obviously going to be very biased here, but the people that do the like real hoopers versus basketball players, Jokic versus KD, like, the whole thing about, Jokic, you could shut him down if he doesn't have this or that, but KD, he can get a bucket against anybody. It turns out that was false. Like, it turns out maybe he's just having a bad run here, but that is a hell of a defensive lineup that they throw out there. And it's so many good on-ball defenders mixed with so many smart and capable guys to rotate. And then you compound that with the fact that, yes, Brooklyn all year has been we just got to throw the ball to our guys and see what they do. It's just ironic to me that you had a Warriors team. If you remember, and I love KD, this is like, I'm not trying to throw slander at him. I actually really like him, and I'm not trying just to like pile on, but his exit with the Warriors was him talking about how all that ball movement is pretty till you get to the playoffs, then it doesn't matter. And now you have a team that like, you have that proof of concept of like, let's see if like you need zero ball movement to beat a good defense. It turns out probably could use a little.
Yeah, tough break for the Real Hoopers versus Jokic fans, with Jokic going up against maybe arguably the best defensive player of our era, and he's only averaging 29 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2.5 steals.
It's not stopping him though, Keith. I don't know if you have been on the internet lately,
I know it's a tough look. He's defiling the MVP trophy. He's just outwardly only scoring 30 points per game against Draymond and the Warriors. No, the Nets, it's a weird one where I don't know what they have left to pull out, because you have Robert Williams supposedly returning for game 3. Obviously they're going home. Although they were under 500 at home this year. Obviously a lot of that was a citywide vaccine mandate, but I don't know what they're turning to, like, do they have faith? Do they have belief, or are they going to be able to pull these out? Cause it seems like the Celtics are just, like, they haven't even shot the ball that well, the Celtics. And this is a team that is known, at least in my mind, of like, they can hit 18, 19 3-pointers. And then you see teams become unbeatable when the good defensive teams make that many threes.
Yeah, what's your thought on it?
I mean, I kind of think, I don't know, like, am I moving to the next round? I think Timberwolves Grizzlies is not over. I think that series is not over. Like that could still go either way. I feel like Celtics is over. I mean, Sixers is over.
I don't think so. I'll say this. I don't think Celtics is over, only because, unlike, for example, like with the Denver coming back, here, it was like, it was never, can they get back in the series? It was, can they win one of these to save face? I do feel like if, let's say Brooklyn wins this next game, let's say they win it by 10, it's 2-1.
There you go.
You got it's true. It's like you could talk yourself into, hey, maybe there's something, and then the Ben Simmons piece is a wild card or what have you. So to me, that series is not quite over. Although Brooklyn, again, they're proof of concept of a very narrow style of basketball. There's not a whole lot of like, hey, we do all these different things. They do one thing really, really well, and they value one thing and one thing only, and it's not working. So I don't have a lot of faith that they can beat a Boston team, but are we sure? I don't want to bury KD just yet, because if I were a betting man, I would bet for KD to have a big night in game 3.
Well, at the very least, if it's close, if we're coming down to the wire, it's another one of these games. We have a name. Is it the cliffhanger game? Where you're barely hanging on game? Because if it comes down to the clutch moment and Bruce Brown's holding the ball in the corner, he's like, well, if we score, we have a series. If we lose, everybody's going home. So I don't know.
Cliffhanger. I think like we could.
The no escape is what's a tunnel? There's like once you go through here, you can't come back. It's the point and no return game. I don't know. We got
point and no return game. Yeah, we're getting closer.
Yeah, we'll keep workshopping it. Anyway, Adam, thanks as always for coming on, and best of luck in game 4. What do you want, honestly? I mean, are we at saving face points?
Here's what I want is I obviously want the Nuggets to win the series. Feels kind of unlikely is that it's never happened before to come back from 0-3. Short of that, I want the series to go 5. I don't even want 6. Like, if they're going to lose the series, let me get to my off season on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. So I feel like you're balancing. All right. I mean, you have a lot of work you do covering the Nuggets. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot.
Also,
man.
There's some mixture of, if you go 6, then you open your heart back up to hope.
I don't think I could. If it went 7, I don't know if I would have hope. Like if it got 7 and we got to the 4th quarter and it was tied, I'd be like, all right, I've got hope.
Wait, what's Jokic's record in facing elimination? It's incredible, right?
It is. I think it's
like 6-1 or something.
I think it actually might be down to 500 now, sadly. But it was really? Like he did have one of those ones where he'd played 5 series and 10 elimination games or something. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone can come back from 3-1, we know the Nuggets have proven it. So you just, as Nick Nurse said, if you win the first game, then you're just on 3-1. Lots of people have done that.
Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. have not been ruled out for this series, Keith. This has been the team's line. This has been their line for the last 2 months. Every week we get an update that they have not been ruled out. So 1 game to go.
Oh, by the way, and
ruled out.
I should have mentioned it. Is that the Nets answer? Ben Simmons is coming back apparently. Like Ben Simmons is going to play.
My hell is Ben Simmons coming back and totally flipping that series and everybody being like, see, Jamal should have done it. And it's like, oh God.
Oh, actually, one final thing. Didn't Tim Connolly say something weird like this is up to Jamal? That seemed to read weird.
It's not just not Tim Connolly. Michael Malone said the same thing, that he's essentially had been cleared for 2 months, but that he was not feeling well to come back and still a little bit shy, which is understandable from a player coming back from a big injury. But this has been part of why this season has been so uncomfortable, I think, is that everybody anticipated that one or both of those guys would make some sort of late push, come back and give a boost. And this is why I made the joke about they haven't been ruled out, is that hope got extended for 2 straight months. It wasn't a like, hey, they might be back after the All-Star break. Nope, doesn't look like it. We're probably not going to happen. It was, let's revisit this next week. And you just kept waiting. And that's why I say they have not been ruled out. They could come back in game 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, but the answer is pretty clearly they're just not coming back.
Yeah. And then obviously the Pelicans are going to bring Zion back next round. So that'll be a fun NBA story for everyone. Anyways, buddies, pleasure as always. See you, man.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, dude.
I was going to tell you, man, this next gen Grizzlies thing, it kind of reminds me of the Dippin' Dots branding as ice cream of the future. And there's a point when this name expires and it's like, how long do you get to be the next gen Grizz?
Well, they kept the G and G, grit and grind, to go to Grizz next gen. So it was it's purely marketing, purely G and G marketing to keep
that
the G and G going.
That saves it
the
a little.
Team did embrace it. The players, they're all young. They were babies. They didn't know any better. So like they did embrace it 2 years ago, but also they've kind of grown up. They haven't really talked about it. I think they moved on to the next marketing thing. But the team is also super young. I mean, our death lineup is like all 23-year-olds and younger, plus the eldest Dylan Brooks, 25-year-old Dylan.
Is it a good thing or bad thing that it kind of reminds you of Star Trek a little bit?
Is the next gen?
Star Trek Next Generation?
No, I like it.
Star Trek?
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Right, I'm positive. There we go.
I'm a Deanna Troy guy. That's
there you go. All right, buddy.
I see you, bud.
Later.
What's up, man? You hear me?
Yes, you hear me?
Nice. Yes.
Great. Let's roll.
Let's do it.
It's now time for the last drop. I'm joined by Damian and Anaya, my one Suns fan in my life. And I'm even saying, honestly, in my life pretty loosely. We don't communicate very frequently. Damian, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going okay.
So
all right.
So the NBA playoffs has been shaken up a little bit with Devin Booker going down with a hamstring injury. On the other side of the bracket in the Eastern Conference, Chris Middleton is out possibly for multiple weeks with an MCL sprain. I think these are the two teams most commonly projected to make the finals. Clearly the Suns. Everyone picked the Suns to make the finals out of the West. The East more wide open, but a lot of people thought that the defending champs would get back there. How are these injuries shaking up just your overall? How are they making you?
I mean, I always look at it as like the way the narrative starts to form, and like I'm like, oh man, is this going to be the narrative where it's like, oh, everyone was anticipating this rematch, and then they both suffer, debilitating injuries in the first round and go out, I'm like, ugh, that's like the worst case scenario for me.
It's pretty horrifying. But so you got this matchup with the Pelicans, the 9 seed Pelicans,
but they're so much better, man.
Seems like you guys, if anyone, would be well equipped to adjust to an injury. This Suns team that was so resilient all year. You have Landry Shamet available to step up. Cam Payne was huge last year in the postseason, and the regular season. You got my guy Cam Johnson. Mikal Bridges can play basically 48 minutes. What's the concern?
Dude, the concern is even when Devin Booker was going off, they still were like hanging around. Even game 1, like Chris Paul had to go off for, 17, 19 straight or whatever, for them to pull away finally. Cause I don't know, man. I always thought that they were like I always thought that they were a tougher matchup for the Suns. Like, I'm more worried about this series right now without Booker than I am like with a healthy team against Dallas or Utah, you know?
Oh,
where I'm like, oh man, I think it's going to be way closer than I want it to be.
So you do make a good point that the Pelicans stayed close in game one.
Yeah,
they were within the Chris Paul performance, which I called impeccable. I've called it flawless before. I mean, literally, what he had like 30 points and something on 16
30
shots.
And I forget how many assists.
Like 10 assists and 7 rebounds or something.
Close to a triple double.
And then in game 2, Devin Booker has this huge first half where he makes all these threes.
31 points.
Yeah, scores over 30. And yet they had no separation. And then Devin Booker goes down. And then, I mean,
Brandon Ingram's going off on the
Brandon Ingram.
37
looked like one of the best players in the NBA in game 2.
Dude, that was nuts.
I don't know. What do I
remember our conversation, our last conversation? We had a discussion of like who is the best player on the Suns. And I think the consensus is like, well, Chris Paul if he's injured. And then
this was a few months ago, but yes, I think most people felt
and it was before he had gotten injured.
And then he went down and they kept winning, right?
And so they kept winning, but I'm like, I don't know, man. Now I'm like, without Booker, they don't have like a real shot creator like that, you know? I mean, a few guys can, but not in that same way. So I'm like, oh, yeah. So now I'm thinking, man, Booker.
Yeah,
totally
I think
different team, man.
Now that we're seeing it, I still think it might be Chris Paul. I still think as far as playoff performance, I know most people have accepted that Devin Booker is the best player on the Suns. I'm not saying Devin Booker is not the most, maybe he's not the best player on the Suns. I still personally feel from someone who's a very casual Suns observer, I'm not an expert, that I think Chris Paul is more important to their playoff success. I feel like
he's like the engine.
If he were to go down, then I think the Suns have zero chance. I think if Devin Booker going down, all right, let's put my theory to the test. We now can try it. And surely the Suns can take care of the
Cam Johnson to get in there. I just want more minutes for Cam.
I want Cam Johnson to become too expensive where Robert Sarver refuses to pay him. That's all.
Dude,
that's my entire cheering motivation.
Very realistic possibility.
Much like Jalen Brunson is going to earn himself so much money from the Knicks by this incredible Doncic-less series. I want Cam Johnson similar. I want these playoff runs to weaken my Western Conference opposition. I want the Mavericks to be worse after the season is over. And, you know, if the Suns lose a key young cog, a rangy wing with size.
Yeah.
Well, unlimited length and range.
I'm hoping Sarver gets pushed out before he can make any other terrible decisions.
You guys need a Daniel Snyder-esque we withheld ticket revenue from the league. You guys need something different. Just regular racist dirt doesn't cut it.
Exactly.
Sexual harassment does not do it. Oh, toxic workplace, please. We're adults here. No, you need
bad trade. That's gonna get you.
You need some kind of fraud where you're defrauding the other 29 owners, and then they might get Robert Sarver out. Well, anyway, let's wrap this up with what's your pick? I mean, Suns are gonna beat the Pelicans.
I'm going with Suns, man. Now. I'm going with Suns. They're going to win it in, I'm going to say 6 games. Monty's going to make some adjustments. They're going to prove why they're the 1 seed with or without Booker. And then we'll see the Mavericks in the second round.
Yeah. I think the only worry would be if the Pelicans just do keep kind of figuring themselves out. Like they are figuring themselves out as they go.
That's the thing, man. What's that kid's name? Herb Davis?
Jones. Herb Jones.
Herb Jones. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that guy's amazing.
And they have a few rookies that
like Trey Murphy 3 had a very strong game.
Yeah.
Knocked down some threes in the fourth quarter. I feel like if they're turning more to him, they might figure out the Jackson Hayes lineups aren't working. If they really just kind of shorten that rotation, and Larry Nance keeps playing as well as he's been playing, and Trey Murphy's knocking on shots. You know, they're
like the perfect team to like tough. Not know that they shouldn't beat the Suns.
But like, also at some point, the Suns are going to expose Valanciunas.
Yeah, I mean they've done it all season.
Like Valanciunas
so
can't. Yeah, you can't hang in the postseason.
But dude, man, he's been beating Ayton on the boards like the whole. Anytime they play the Pelicans, he's like racking up rebounds. Man, they had like the first 4 possessions were offensive rebounds.
Yeah, I have confidence. Anyway, Damian, thanks for dropping in.
Dude, thanks for having me.
And we'll get you back in here sometime. Hopefully,
maybe
one of these days it'll be after something good happens to the Suns.
Yeah, maybe a more confident me next time.
That's right. It's not. It's it's a coincidence that I hit you up every time something bad happens to the Suns. There's no correlation.
Yeah, if they're up 2-0 in any series, don't give me a call, please.
You got it. All right, man. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.